Hello, Free Rotation Nation. Today, I am joined by Beckles.
Hello.
And our wonderful queen, Angela.
Hello. It's funny you say that because in the game I play, the mobile game, they made me queen.
Hey, there you
Hey,
go.
yes, queen.
I'm starting to think I'm a queen for real.
Drag queen. Yes,
Like, where's my taxes?
I'm down.
Bobby, you haven't paid your taxes, and I need your.
Taxes? Is
what's
department ever done? See department?
No, it's what you.
What's
bring.
a fief? It's always what you do in a fiefdom, right?
Yeah, you bring your stuff like your
like a
crops
tithe?
and
Yeah,
stuff.
something like that.
Tithe,
Yeah.
well, tithing is
They
Churchy.
still have to
That's
do it to
church.
the queen. Like they still have to bring her shit.
Yeah.
a sacrifice, a human sacrifice.
Yes. Where's my human sacrifice?
I guess Nicole will be the human sacrifice.
Oh
I'll just
my
drag her.
God.
Today, we are having one of our more serious discussions about gang stalking.
Okay, I'll be honest with you, Bobby. I don't know what gang stalking is. I have what I think gang stalking is.
What do you think it is? Crips, Bloods?
I thought gang stalking was like the initiation gangs do to get go kill somebody to initiate themselves into gangs.
Well, that would fall under the umbrella of gang stalking, but that is not what the gang stalking is.
Oh, I work for the government. We have different definitions.
Fortunately, the gang stalking subreddit has a lengthy definition.
A lengthly.
A lengthy. A
Lengthy.
very
Is
lengthy.
that like
Lengthy.
bigly? It's lengthly and bigly.
No, it's like Piggly Wiggly.
Piccolo.
Gang stalking is an umbrella term describing a series of techniques utilized by a group to instill mental instability within a victim with the intent to discredit, sabotage, harass, extort, and even drive a victim to suicide.
What the fuck?
A victim of gang stalking can have their reputation, credibility, careers, relationships, and entire life put into ruins. Techniques such as mind games, perception manipulation, organized stalking, covert harassment, constant surveillance, and possible electronic harassment are used to push a victim to mental instability.
Okay, that is definitely not what I thought that was.
No.
So wait, okay, let me get this straight. Is this like, it almost sounds like when you try to discredit like a reporter almost.
No, that's exactly
Yeah.
what it is. So say as a DA you get a case and you discover at some upper echelon there's some shady shit going on.
Yeah.
And you start talking about it in the only way you can outside of while staying true to your job. Well, they're worried now that you're going to be a whistleblower. So they start doing small things to discredit you. Like, say, break into your house and just move your keys. And you start thinking, I know I had my keys right here. And now they're here. Or you start seeing the same van in your neighborhood constantly. And you start thinking, that van is
Or like
always
planning
around
drugs
me.
and having people stop you for it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
stuff like that.
Yep,
Giving
exactly.
you stopping you and giving you a speeding ticket when you were parked. That sort of thing.
Interesting. Okay, I'm down. I'm down for this rabbit hole. Let's go.
The victims of this action are known as targeted individuals, or TIs, and no, not the famous rapper.
What? Becky with that confusing.
That would see. I'm getting confused because there's a lot of things here that are not related to what I think they mean.
Nope. In one video, a TI takes a GoPro onto the New York subway. He notes a man in an orange jacket who occasionally looks at him, and another tall man who enters the train and makes eye contact with the man in the jacket, and a lady who he thinks is giving him dirty looks whenever he looks away from her. It's like that kind of paranoia bit where you
Yeah.
think people are talking about you.
Yeah.
In this case,
And if you
it could be
mention
happening.
it to somebody, like if Bobby said all that to us, we'd be like, wow, he's under a lot of stress.
Yeah.
He does have a high stress job. Like there's a guy who just kind of mentioned that, hey, these X's in the sky aren't natural.
Right.
And then suddenly, he starts being followed and, honed in and targeted. And now even I, as conspiracy theories I like to be, I'm like, is he just crazy?
Mhm.
Right.
These agents are conducting what TIs term as conspicuous observation, monitoring the TI in broad daylight, a tactic intended to be menacing. Also, victims hear voices coming from their walls, see people spitting into their drinks, cars sounding their horns when they pass their homes.
So wait. So these are generally people who are they working for certain organizations?
No, sometimes it's just normal civilians, but they might have something to say.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a guy recently who said he was being gang stalked by the cops where he lived because he knew something. He said something about a murder, something. He knew that the cops were involved, so they started gang stalking him, and he caught it on video. If he hadn't have caught it on video, nobody would have believed him. But then he said in a Facebook post and on Reddit, under this subreddit, if I die, these people killed me. He was like, I think they're going to kill me in the next 2 days. He died within 2 days.
Oh my God.
He was stabbed like 37
Oh,
times.
this is what we're talking about later. This is the case I'm talking about later.
I'm sorry, Bobby.
No,
I'll
it's
stop.
cool.
No,
I didn't know.
no.
I didn't know, like, because like
Yeah.
that probably happens more often.
Because this is one that we can say he was gang stalked because he caught it on camera.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he sounded like a fucking crazy person.
Fiction or reality? Now, in the 1960s and early 70s, the FBI ran a project called COINTELPRO. It was used to disrupt the Black Panther Party and other troublemaking groups. So there's a precedence for actions similar to what these people are describing by our government, which is fucking terrifying. Now, is all of this real or just a way of making sense of the chaos of life? Could it be that these people are simply hallucinating? Psychologists say most people that believe are in fact suffering from mental health issues, which in some cases can make sense.
Yeah.
But when there's smoke, usually a fire.
Well, and on top of that, if you have several people who are, I get it. My thought process is that there's probably the majority of the people are probably mentally not there. But if you have people who have been seemingly competent for a long period of time who work in a space where they might be open to getting some sort of sensitive information, it kind of makes sense.
Well, and think about it. I think normal people always question their sanity. Only the insane 100% believe they're sane.
Right.
So if this started happening to us, we might start thinking, I'm just freaking paranoid,
Yeah, I'm
right?
fucking nuts.
I might need some help. So you start discrediting even yourself. And that's what this does is it's psychological warfare.
No, it happens to me in the morning when I like don't have my coffee yet. I put something down, and then I'll go away. I'm like, wait, did I put that there, or is that it get moved? Wait, no, I just haven't had my coffee yet. So it's the whole thing. I personally have mixed feelings about these episodes, though there is one case where I believe there's an actual occurrence of this phenomenon. It's the John Lang case, and this shit is fucked. Like, this shit is fucked.
Yeah.
Now, this case has been featured on Reddit, YouTube, etc. So you may have heard of it. Angela has. If not, after listening, I suggest doing some digging yourself and forming your own opinion. After all, I'm just a guy with a fetish for hair products and fashion, so everything I say should be taken with a grain of salt.
Oh my God.
But if we base his opinion on how on fleek his hair is, then you should believe him 100%.
Oh, if my opinions are based on my hair alone, I'd be like a fucking president.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
John Lang was an activist who commonly spoke out on news sites, social media, and even wrote an article to the local paper citing abuse from the Fresno Police Department, specifically a license plate scam done in low-income neighborhoods. So pretty much what happened is the cops would wait for these people to park, would scan their license plates, see, they did some shit in the past, and when they would leave, they would cite them for random bullshit, just, because you got to get those... what's that called?
You got to get them out of the neighborhood.
Out of the neighborhood, and
it's also your citation fines.
Yep.
You want to be able to find them and be able to keep them paying
and make it
to the
believable.
government.
So if they go in and they argue against a ticket, oh, I'm sorry, I noticed here you diddled a kid in the past.
Yeah. Or it's like stuff.
Why were you around the
yeah.
school?
Or it's like stuff that's hard to disprove, like, oh, you didn't use your turn signal, or you didn't come to a full stop at a stop sign, that kind of stuff, or gave right of way to like an emergency vehicle or something.
Oh yeah.
So it's super hard to disprove unless you have
You
a
didn't
dash
allow
cam.
a card to merge.
Exactly.
I said card.
Well,
The Visa tried to merge and you didn't let it.
exactly. You gotta let those magic
Master
cards
race, MasterCard.
masturbate.
Yes. You were masturbating in the car. How would you disprove that you weren't doing that? Check my hand. There's no jism on it.
I like how he took a hard left turn from serious back to crazy.
Well-
Moreland's penis. There we go.
Okay, there we go.
Well, we did go full circle.
Jesus Christ.
Around the clitoris. I'm good.
Jesus.
Okay. No, this one's interesting.
Okay.
Mm.
After Lance's article was published, he started to notice unsettling people outside his home. He caught men pretending to be carpet cleaners, but they had expensive camera equipment and were filming him. Like, there's literal pictures of it. Like, this is all like on his. He did like a bunch of Reddit posts and everything.
Like he films them
Yeah.
filming him.
Yeah.
So this stuff was...
Or a van would pull it, Becky. A door would slide open. This huge telescopic lens would come out, take a picture of his house, and just drive off.
Yeah.
Now, if he didn't have it on video, we'd be like, okay.
But my thing is, okay, and this is just playing devil's advocate. I'm not necessarily like arguing that this didn't happen, but why would this sort of thing be something worth gang stalking about?
Because if you expose all this to like, it would hit national news, and it's like exposing police corruption generally. And if you expose, because this whole scam's going on with license plates, and that gets out to like the higher ups and stuff that don't know about it.
Especially since it was racially motivated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was impactful.
Yeah, because think how much money they're bringing in through this scam.
True.
Yeah,
Kinda-
and it's super easy to hit your quotas this way too.
Well, kind of like certain communities that are surrounding where we live that that they purposely target minorities. There are certain communities that, that the targeted
Well, yeah.
race is minorities versus white people.
Like where I live, you never see a cop unless he lives in the neighborhood with you.
Which there's one down the street.
Yeah, there's 2 that live here in my neighborhood, and then but if you go to the other side of town, there's cops everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think that they're eliminating any crime
No, they're just
by
racking
being
up.
in their presence. Yeah, they're just
Racking up them fines and monies.
Yep. Subdivisions.
Yes.
There we go.
Suburbians.
Yes.
Suburbia.
Yeah. What pants?
Oh, okay.
There were even like multiple policemen across the street in the middle of the fucking night, just like loitering, not doing shit.
Oh yeah, they just pull up and get out of their car. Oh, they were just talking.
Okay.
And like and most of this can be found on his YouTube channel. Like he had outside cameras filming all this shit happening. It's not just like hearsay. It's like it's there.
It's interesting though to think that if this is the case of what's happening, what he essentially did, like the gang stalking, trying to keep it under wraps from what he was doing, he still managed to get it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they knew he had cameras up and was recording them because he had already put them up because they watched his house all the time.
Right.
So they would have seen him if he had put cameras up, but he already had them installed. And this was before everybody had Ring doorbells and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, suspiciously, 5 days before his death, he made many public claims to his suspicions of being a murder target. He was found dead in his home on January 20th, 2016, by way of multiple stab wounds, 12 to be precise.
Now get this, Becky. And his house was set on fire.
Yeah,
Okay.
his house was burned down. It was ruled a suicide, even though the medical examiner reported multiple stab wounds in his back.
So somebody attacked him from
but-
behind.
But
Yeah.
he killed himself.
But he killed himself, though.
Yeah.
Oh.
Killed himself, though.
Oh, I see.
So
Were they able to, I guess they were able to get his body out enough to do an autopsy on him if they had set the house on fire?
but
But
I don't
because
know.
the house was set on fire, like the stab wounds are called into question because, the fucking heat messes up with everything.
Right.
So.
and then he's cremated. So what are you gonna do?
Exactly.
Exhume him and do
Yeah.
another one?
And
Yeah.
people said, oh, this is textbook fucking schizophrenia. This guy and his neighbors had always said he was super cool, never exhibited any signs of this, and people say, oh, he's off his meds. He never fucking exhibited signs of schizophrenia. Like,
Right.
ever.
And he had the videos.
Yeah.
Right.
If there were no videos, no photographic evidence whatsoever, then probably crazy. But
Yeah.
he has all this shit filmed, and people are like, well, it could have been a movie crew. I'm like, the fuck, there had to be so much more for a movie crew.
Yeah.
The permits and
And
everything.
not only that, but he said he called his own death. It was on his YouTube channel. They had come up. They had telescopic lenses taking pictures of his house. And then the cops were loitering again. And he said it's escalated to a point, I feel like I'm going to be dead in the next 2 days. If it happens, they did it.
Because he asked people on Facebook if someone with a carry permit could stay with him for a couple of days.
Oh.
Yeah, and no one, yeah.
Well, and it kind of makes sense is if they're watching him and he goes to get a carry permit of any sort,
Oh,
he's going
he's
to
fucked.
automatically
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
denied.
Yep. And and the fire obviously destroyed the cameras and everything. So
Right.
Oh, what was weird was they said the cameras were disconnected shortly before his death.
They might have disconnected his internet and being able to,
Exactly.
because you have to run off of that.
Oh, no, I think they did. They did turn his lights off. That's why he said he felt he was
Yeah,
going to
because
die.
his power.
This is
yeah.
like-
His power was shut off.
This is scarily close to Welcome to the Game when you watch playing that game, which is about the dark web. It's not anything related to this,
Yeah.
but it's kind of the same situation where somebody is actively stalking somebody. Or the serial killer's trying to get to you, so they'll turn off your light and you have to go turn your light back on. You can't stay in the dark, and you have to check and see if people are looking at you. That's really freaky.
Well, doxing is a form of gang stalking.
Oh yeah, I guess that
Because
is true.
you just spread your information everywhere, and now people know where you live, and they just come fucking harass you.
And you know what the most prime example of someone ordering a gang stalking? Remember when Trump doxed the woman who had said stuff to him
Yeah.
on Twitter? And he revealed her personal information, where to find her, and she was scared for her life.
Well, you can also see it as from Gamergate's perspective too. That was a similar situation.
That was a
that was
fucking nightmare.
definite.
Like you could see where that's a similar situation as well. Where and it seems to me, and as we're going through this, I am looking at some stuff just so I can follow along. It seems to be that while this is like you can see it from the organized perspective, from a government perspective, it seems like this is something that can occur just on our regular basis. Like I could decide that I really want to torture Bobby just for the hell of it, and you can do that.
Well, and there's some acceptable forms, quote unquote, of gang stalking. For instance, say there's a guy, everybody knows he murdered a bunch of people. He gets off on a technicality. The cops stop him at every opportunity.
Yep.
That's gang stalking. I mean, sure, everybody understands it, and you're like, I hope they fucking get him for something. But if we accept that, if we give that away, then we start giving away everything else.
Yep.
But I'm still like gang stalking. Get him.
I know.
I believe the term is the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
That's right.
Yes.
This is where it starts.
And you got to look at it. Okay, I don't necessarily agree from this perspective of what they were doing, but you get look at from their perspective. They think this is clearly something that's normative for these cops.
Yeah.
And this guy is trying to expose them, and their jobs are on the line. Their reputation is on the line. So they're thinking we need to do something about this guy. I don't agree with it whatsoever because, that's not right to begin with. But you can kind of see from their perspective why they're doing it.
Well, don't be fucking pieces of shit.
And I agree with that.
Yeah, don't be pieces of shit.
Well,
it's not hard.
Yeah, it started with the tag scam, and then he started discovering darker stuff that they were doing.
Well, some people believe that, how he published that article? He did it anonymously, but he sent it to a Sacramento Bee reporter to get it published. He believes that the reporter was friends with some of these cops and fucking told him who it was. That's how they figured it out.
Oh.
Because think about it. If you make a Facebook post saying this, unless, you're friends with a cop or someone in the government, they're not going to know. I mean, you're not, a widely followed celebrity.
Well, right.
So this makes sense.
Right.
It was the reporter that exposed his name.
Yeah, and you don't...
I think he was respected. Before this, he was well respected. People listened to him. He was on the rise to be an activist for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel fucking bad for this guy. And what he experienced is textbook gang stalking. And this is the main reason I wanted to bring this up. Because, I was watching, this case was brought up on one of the creepypasta YouTube channels I listen to. They get stuff off Reddit or user submitted stuff.
Yeah.
And he randomly had this up. It's 2 years ago. I actually I couldn't remember the guy's name. So I did 10 different searches. I was like, and because I kept thinking it was in Sacramento. No, it's Fresno. That's why I was like, because I Nicole, help me look for this. Because I was like, do research with me.
Your new research assistant, Nicole.
Yeah, it's help me find this. Because I knew what the video looked like, but since I follow so many different, the creepypasta YouTube channels, I was like, I couldn't remember which one. Because I follow 8, and it was 2 years ago. I was like, fuck, I got to drag through all this shit. But, and what's really fucked up is, it's one thing to have a bunch of random people having a vendetta against you. It's a whole other thing when it's a government-sponsored organization
an entire police department
that has access to tons of equipment and can do it legally. They can just it's this,
Well, what I think is scary is because on barring that part, I think that is scary. But everybody kind of knows that there are certain branches of government in certain areas that are corrupt. There's no doubt about it. I as a personal government official can assure you where I work, you don't really see that. It's there. That's more of the exception than the norm.
Yeah.
But what's scary is the idea that there are just certain people out there who just decide that they're going to randomly gang stalk you.
Right. Well, the sins of the few are visited upon the many.
Right.
It's like the cops who.
I like that.
Right. I don't know if I made that up or somebody else did.
No,
but
you made it up.
Yeah.
Now it's on the internet. That's it.
It's yours now.
The copyright.
But it's what's scary is the fact that let's say you have somebody who's a well-prominent, just an individual in your community. It doesn't have to be a government official or anybody like that. Just somebody who's well-respected who gets to be targeted or somebody else targets
you mean
them.
like Epstein?
Oh, that guy was fucked up. That guy was a piece of shit regardless. Oh,
yeah. Epstein didn't kill himself. Is that Epstein didn't kill himself? Well,
we should totally do an episode on that.
Well, it's pretty... that's a whole different topic for another day. But to think about
he did claim gang stalking.
Right. But I'm looking at some of the
justifiably so, though.
Exactly, and that's what I was saying earlier. Some people you're like, or was he killed just to shut him up?
Probably a little bit of both.
Well, I was looking on just online just to see some of the stuff they were talking about, like what you see when somebody's being classically gang stalked. And what I thought was interesting, it wasn't just the fact that it's like the isolation of the target or somebody who's getting a slander campaign. It's like trying to drive these people crazy. Like I get it with the key thing, but it's like using like you're disrupting their life, like using power tools outside their house.
Right. Not letting them sleep.
Yeah.
Making a buzzing noise, interrupting, cutting off their electricity, just doing stuff outside in their yard, moving in beside them, having a barking dog. There's this one guy that was on, he was talking about gang stalking on YouTube. I can't remember his name, but he said a lot of times it's that every morning you'll notice a routine that's odd. Somebody walks the dog and turns and smiles at you at the exact same time every day.
That is so scary. And then like the idea that like random stuff in your life, like getting a flat tire, having like people, a mass group of people just purposely annoy you. Like it's not just the fact that somebody's going on Facebook and saying, don't deal with this person because, you know, they're crazy, all this stuff. It's like trying to drive them crazy. That's terrifying.
Yep. It's a whole thing. No, there was another story I was reading, but this one was harder to verify because there was no like video or whatever. But there was a gay man. I think it was in Missouri or Mississippi, you know, real conservative area, and he was like openly gay, like because he was a small town. But he claimed like every time he would go out, or, like go like to like the restaurant or like the church, like he would get out of his car, but then all these other heterosexual couples would get out their cars almost at the same time and do like loving things in front of him, and it happened like, okay, and I don't know if this is real or not, who knows, because you know, no verification, but it was creepy because I was like, if that's happening every time, God, it feels organized. But like again, no photographic evidence, no video evidence.
Well, and then you have to argue from that perspective: is
he just sensitive?
Yeah, exactly.
Is he sensitive to it, or is he just thinking this is happening, or is it actual gang stalking?
And that's the flip side of gang stalking. The John Lang case feels fucking as close as you're going to get to it with evidence. But some of these posts when I was on the subreddit, I'm like, that's just people being fucking weird, dude. Like,
well, and you got to think about it. It's also coming from a space where anybody can make anything up. I can go on the internet right now and say that I am the president of the United States in the future.
You woke up with a penis and
No, I'm like in like 2047, and I'm a time traveler who's come back to let you all know.
Oh, I totally believe you.
That the Tennessee Titans are going to win the Super Bowl or something like that.
I fucking hope they do. So
well, I do too. Like I'm totally down for that. But like you can make anything up on the internet. It's not all verifiable. Like this guy, obviously, he had dotted his I's and crossed his T's to make sure people realized this was happening to him. But if I'm just rando person on the street who thinks that I'm something special, that I clearly know the aliens are coming back and everybody's out to get me, that's why it makes it hard for these cases to get such publicity.
That's what I was going to say. A lot of people who claim gang stalking are people who claim to have a knowledge. I've been abducted. I have this knowledge. I was visited. I have this knowledge. And the government's trying to shut me down and shut me up. They're sending... A lot of people believe that the government fights psychological warfare with sound.
Right.
Sound waves. So it's really hard to prove some shit like that. That wasn't me.
You know what's a really good example of this film wise? Enemy of the State with Will Smith and Gene Hackman.
Yes.
Yeah, very, very good.
Well, and you got to think about it, like there are also like we have scientists who there's been a couple of podcasts I've listened to where they've talked about this. If I had thought about what I know now about gang stalking, I wish I had done more research on this guy. But he had been like a prominent figure in the scientific community and was studying aliens. And he was having a lot of these similar situations happening to him where they were discrediting his previous works prior to him getting into the whole UFO conspiracy. They were saying that it was all photoshopped. He was being harassed. I think he ended up dying at some point,
Probably.
if I'm not mistaken. But the fact that, you know, it looks so hinky because he was studying ufology, you know, people didn't really kind of discredited it because, you know, all of that. But he was a prominent figure within the government doing that kind of stuff.
And there's been a lot of cases where people have claimed to be gang stalked. They end up dead, murdered, like by a random mugging unexpectedly in a city that's never had a murder.
Or a suicide where two shots in the back of the head type of deal.
Exactly. And there was a case of, I think it was a reporter, which I think is the one you were thinking about. And he claimed that he was being gang stalked, and they said he committed suicide in his car, but meanwhile he was shot twice, executioner style in the back of the head, after being stabbed like 47 times.
Well, and you always have to be suspicious of the people who somehow have committed suicide, but their car catches on fire, their house catches on fire. Like, if I've killed myself, the last thing I'm thinking is, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn a boiling pot of water on and then kill myself. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the interesting things is, did you ever see the movie Men Who Stare at Goats?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's based off of a real project. And so a lot of times people think gang stalking comes like psychological warfare from these psychics that are hired by the government. And a lot of people discredit that, but we know it's real. The government has admitted they had this program and they never dropped it.
Well, looking through some of the prominent examples of gang stalking, it appears that like some of them are ones we know about like to this day, like the KKK stalking African Americans in the South back when the KKK was a prominent figure. And even today, you probably do see that come like from white nationalists, following these people who might be prominent, but they don't really have a lot of power anymore. But there was also the mention of the brown shirts.
No, I don't know anything about that.
Okay, so this is like back during World War II, Hitler had what were called the brown shirts, and they would they would essentially gang stalk Jews. They were like the stormtrooper army for Hitler, and they were like, the way to explain it is that they were like literally looking covertly to get rid of people's freedom. So they would look at people who were prominent Jews in society and look to either discredit them or kill them. So, I mean, there is a historical context to this. It's not just, hey, these are some crazy people on the internet talking.
Right. Oh, yeah, this goes way back. And then we also have actual gang stalking. Like Becky mentioned earlier for initiation, where they choose a target, they stalk until they can get that person. And even in schools, you have small gangs of kids who do what they can to discredit other kids.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to steal your pencils. I'm going to say that you did something to me that I may have done to you. And everybody agrees with it.
Right.
I mean, it's just psychological warfare. I think I'd be really good at this. This is my job I missed my calling on.
Being a gang stalker?
Yeah, being psychological warfare. I'm so good at this. You have no idea. That's why I'm good in business.
Well, okay, that's terrifying.
But, I mean, when you think about, like, your job isn't so much, like, psychological warfare, but you are playing with psychology.
Yeah.
You have to convince that your side is more truthful than the other side.
Which, to be fair, 80% of my job is, hey, you got stopped at a traffic stop.
Facts,
and you had some drugs on you. Like, you know what I mean? It's something like that. But I was thinking it was not just that, but, we see it today in battered person syndrome.
That's
this
what
is
I'm
a
saying.
very similar.
What's battered person syndrome?
It's like it's battered women syndrome.
Oh,
but
gotcha.
the political.
Right. Domestic abuse is two-sided.
Yeah.
So let's stop saying battered women. I see.
Right.
A battered
Well,
person.
as somebody who has a case involving.
I thought you were going to say as somebody who's been battered. I'm like, what the fuck?
No.
Angie, what have you been doing? Is that why she has a black eye?
She ran into a door.
As somebody generalized who has a case of somebody who was a male who was battered by a female, I try to use battered person syndrome because it is something that happens. You just don't hear about it because it's not a normative thing. But if you look at the same symptoms of battered person syndrome, you see a lot of isolation. You see a lot of there's a lot of psychological warfare that goes into that because you have to convince that person so much that their love for you is better, more so than what they're having to experience. So you isolate them from their family and friends. You discredit them to other people about like, oh, they're crazy,
Gaslighting,
yeah, you got to gaslight them, stuff like that. So, the idea that this is something that isn't seen very often and people kind of discredit it, it's a little sus to me because this is something you do see on a regular basis. I mean, it doesn't go to the extent of it being an organization that takes somebody out completely, but it's not so far outside the realm of possibility that this happens. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. To me, this other than Nibiru, because you know how I feel about that. This makes a lot of sense. No. We already talked about it last episode.
You know what this reminds me of? When the Joker has his realization that he's not the crazy one. Society's the crazy people who won't listen and won't believe that these things happen, that crime is real, poverty is real, police are corrupt. Like, this is what this reminds me of.
Yeah.
Well, it also, when you think about people, if they accept that stuff like this exists, then they have to accept everything behind it. They would have had to accept that, hey, our police department targeted these these African American communities. Therefore, if we accept that, we have to then accept something else. And then you take people out of their comfort zones and you force them to face reality.
And here's the thing. I come from a perspective where I am on the side of the police a lot more part of my job. And I'll tell you, a vast majority of them are literally just seeking justice and the truth for people. That is it. That's their job. They want to protect their people.
I'll back the blue, but I'm not going to say that you were right in shooting an unarmed man in a traffic stop.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm not going to say all cops are guilty.
And you can't say that it's not possible that this did not happen, because I mean, there's clearly videoed evidence. Whether that's something that was made up, I don't know.
Well, here in this town, I almost said where I lived, but here in this town, there's a big hoopla going on right now because there was a guy who accused the cops of gang stalking him. He ended up getting pulled over and shot in the back. Mm-hmm. They ruled it that he had a weapon and it was a justifiable thing. Well, this cop was taken off the streets and he's just been given his car back. How do you shoot someone in the back and it's justified? Unarmed someone.
Right.
Maybe they thought he turned to draw something. I don't know.
Why would you turn and draw? That makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you also have to remember, and I'm not justifying this in any means or manner, but you also have to remember cops are human. So whether there is a huge deficit of being perfect there, that people.
Yeah, but don't put him back in a traffic car. If you
and I
can't
agree with
handle
that.
stopping people and
Give him a
things,
desk job.
Yeah.
Yeah, stick him in the jail or something.
Make him
I don't
a
know.
Evidence
detective,
room,
like-
something.
Yeah, somewhere where he doesn't have that ability. But I don't know. It's just, this is kind of a scary situation because I see where people start to get paranoid. Like this person you see all the time that is wearing an orange sweater, and all night you hear construction workers.
Well, the other week I saw the same tool truck every day as I was going home. Always in random parts. Why are you driving in my neighborhood?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I remember telling Becky, I'm like, I think I'm going crazy ever since that weird podcast episode, which of course nobody's following me. But I was like, how do I see this every single day? This same weird tool van to a store and a company that doesn't exist. Like, what is this?
Well, what's scary is the fact that you do cover stuff like this, and then it's like, do I become the target because I just covered
Exposed,
something?
yeah.
Yeah, that's something that's there. And the thing is, like with this podcast, we're talking about gang stalking now. We could be talking about League of Legends in like the next episode.
Yeah. So stop talking to me. And I also think that I was on a list a long time ago because I registered to vote as a socialist. I mean, we're probably very few who are on a list.
Angie,
I'm
don't you
Democrat now.
Don't you own an orange sweater?
I do.
Are you gang stalking yourself?
Fuck yeah.
Oh, that would be like the best kind of like.
That'd be terrifying.
That'd be an M. Night Shyamalan movie where you think you're being gang stalked, but you were gang stalking yourself.
In order to prove you're being gang stalked, you're accidentally gang stalking someone else.
Yeah, and they realize, hey, he's stalking me, so I'm gonna stalk him back.
Oh my god, that would be the best. Okay,
That'd actually
Sorry.
be a funny movie.
That would
like
actually be, that's what I was about to say. That's not actually something
It's a
where
black comedy.
Yeah, it actually wouldn't be scary. It would just be hilarious. Like, this person's and then they show up to court because they both filed TPOs against each other, and they're like, "Hey, man, I wasn't stalking you. You were stalking me. You don't know I wasn't.
What's
you
a
were stalking
TPO?
me." Temporary protective order.
Oh, like kind of like a restraining order.
It's a restraining order, but in Georgia we call it TPOs.
That's what I took out against Moreland.
Yeah, that's why Moreland hasn't been on the
I'm
podcast in
kidding.
so long.
I'm kidding. It was an FPO.
But I don't know. I feel like when these sorts of episodes, because I'll be honest with you people, I am very superficial when it comes to the internet. I want to see cats. I want to see stuff about Critical Role, and I want to read stuff about League of Legends. That's pretty much my extent of going down the rabbit
Yeah,
hole.
Becky won't look at my Reddit. She's like, "Why are you subscribed to this?"
Yeah, like I just can't.
Because I want to know.
I can't do it. So when we do
But I
episodes,
don't want personal interaction. I just want to read about theirs.
Yeah.
well, it's interesting to learn about this stuff. Like this is something that could actually be happening, and then kind of see it from the day-to-day perspective. This isn't like a secret government cover-up or a planet that allegedly is hiding behind the sun. This is something that we see bits and pieces of every single day. It's not uncommon to see something similar to that, and you have just some regular Joe Blow doing
Just some
this.
regular.
Well, I would say if I was going to be a stalker, this is going to sound bad. If I was going to be a stalker, I would do these things.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I'm going to call the police on you.
Thanks. Well, I'm just saying if I did stalk somebody, I'm too busy and I'm too tired to be interested in other people's like agendas.
I'll just stalk your social media and creep on you that way. That's the best.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not going to hit the like button on your Facebook.
I would become your friend, and then I would encourage you to go down the rabbit hole. Like, yeah, I totally think that person is following you.
When it's actually you doing everything, that's fucked up.
I would.
That's like a Netflix TV show almost.
Okay, quick question. This is like off topic ish, but have you ever like been like social media stalking somebody, like creeping on them a little bit,
and accidentally like their
yeah,
stuff?
and you have to fucking block them on everything. It's just because you don't want like I don't even know this person doesn't know me, but I thought she was cute. So I was looking at her pictures. Oh fuck! Blah 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 blah. Delete my Instagram. Make a new one.
Well, that's clearly you not being a stalker. It's you just being a creeper, and you realize that oh shit, this is so weird that I've just fucked up now.
Yeah, everyone does it. So fuck off.
That's true. I mean, we've had people and family members that have gone back and liked pictures from 3 years ago and just start liking all of your pictures. Yep. It's like, dude, what are you happening right now?
Blaze, my best friend Blaze and I were assholes to each other. Well, like when we at one point I went back and liked all 48 of his Instagram posts. And he was saying ding ding. I'm right next to him while I'm doing this because I just want to hear his phone going ding 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 ding.
That
was
is
great.
Gang stalking. That's what that was.
That's gang stalking.
I just think it's okay. I know, and you know, we always get the YouTube hate on certain episodes, something like this. But you know, you got to look at it from our perspective as people who aren't in that space. Like, I don't sit there and study government conspiracies and all of that stuff. I work in the government. I don't have time to do it. Like, I'm already stressed as it is. But hearing this stuff and seeing it, it's like you can kind of see where I kind of see where people think this is kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Becky.
Hey, Becky.
Okay, let's
Oh
go.
my God. Oh my God.
One,
that hurt me.
2, 3. Hey, Becky.
Hey.
We gang stalked you.
We gang stalked you.
Where can they gang stalk us?
Yeah, where can they gang stalk us?
You can gang stalk us on
that's good.
Facebook at the Free Rotation Podcast. You can gang stalk
Spotify?
us on Spotify. You can gang stalk us on YouTube and Twitch at the Free Rotation.
Although you cheated and uploaded one to SoundCloud.
Okay, here's the thing, guys.
Oh man.
We had a clip of our 100th episode. And there's very few websites where you can clip things and upload it to like Twitter and all that stuff. So I had to use SoundCloud. Okay, I use SoundCloud, whatever. So there is one thing on SoundCloud. It's literally 6 minutes of us being derps for the last 3 years.
Hey, can Weeby Geek stalk us?
Weeby Geeks can, we kind of more so stalk Weeby Geeks. You can find us at, just say it. We're affiliates of Weeby Geeks. You can check us out on WeebyGeeksPC.com and all the other great podcasts there that we gang stalk because they're much more popular than we are.
Question, is it actually like the word we be geeks or like weeb?
No, we be geeks.
Okay, gotcha.
It should be we are geeks, but it's not. It's not correct grammar, sentence structure. And you can also check out all of our backlog at TheFreeRotation.com. Hey, the only thing we ever really do is just put our podcast episodes up. If there's anything you ever want us to talk about, let us know. We do have a little blog on there.
Well, Becky has repeatedly sent me how to do it. I don't know how, even with the email. So if she would get off her butt and show me how to do it, we'd do it.
When was the last time you asked me to show you how to do something? You're such a butthole. I'm going to gang stalk you.
Bye.